Out of nowhere, it whispers, "Hey, what if you end up completely alone?" And I'm like, "Oh no, not this again. I live in New York, surrounded by 8 million people." And somehow my brain manages to convince me that I could still die alone in a studio apartment filled with empty coffee cups and motivational sticky notes that never worked. Maybe it's because I'm a sloth. We're not exactly known for our speed in making friends. I once tried to wave at my neighbor raccoon from the window, and by the time my arm reached halfway up, he'd already moved to New Jersey. But loneliness feels like that weird neighbor who never leaves. You think you're fine, and then boom, there it is, sitting next to you on the couch, eating your popcorn and criticizing your life choices. I imagine what loneliness would look like if it were a person. Probably tall, wearing an oversized hoodie, with socks that don't match. They'd sneak into my room at night, hum softly and whisper, "No one's texting you back." Then, when I finally start to drift off, they'd say something creepy like, "Even your houseplants are emotionally distant." And I'd shoot up in bed like, "Not Fernie, she's thriving." But maybe loneliness isn't always bad. Maybe it's like a weird cosmic pause button. I mean, think about it. If no one's around, you can sing opera terribly, have deep conversations with your fridge, or dance like a confused jellyfish. Once, I spent an entire Saturday talking to my ceiling fan about whether socks have feelings. It didn't answer, but I think we bonded. Sometimes I imagine loneliness as a pet, like a small, invisible cat that follows me around. It curls up beside me when I'm reading, purrs softly when I'm quiet, and occasionally bites my emotional ankles when I scroll too long on social media. If I ignore it, it starts knocking things off my mental shelves. But if I feed it a little attention right, think, Daydreamy calms down. Maybe loneliness just wants to be acknowledged, like, "Hey buddy, I see you, but please stop scratching the curtains of my soul." Other times, I picture a world where no one ever feels lonely. Every time you sigh, a friendly ghost appears and says, "Want to talk about it? Imagine the chaos." Millions of ghosts following people around, constantly asking, "You okay, bro?" The subway would be packed with commuters and their emotional support spirits. I'd probably still sit alone, though, because even imaginary friends deserve boundaries. But here's the strange thing. I think loneliness might actually be creative. When no one's watching, my brain gets weirdly inspired. It builds imaginary worlds like a cafe run by turtles who only serve slow-brewed coffee. Or a talking lamppost who complains about pigeons. It's as if my mind fills the empty spaces with stories so I don't have to feel the silence. Maybe that's what loneliness is, a playground for the imagination, even if it looks a little gloomy from the outside. Still, there are nights when it hits differently, when the city outside goes quiet, and I realize no one knows exactly what I'm thinking or feeling in that moment. That's when it feels heavy, like wearing a wet blanket made of thoughts. I wonder if the stars get lonely, to glowing billions of miles apart, waving light years hello, but never touching. Maybe loneliness isn't just a human or sloth thing. Maybe it's the universe's background music. Then again, loneliness also reminds me that I care. You only feel lonely because you want connection. You want to be understood, to share the weirdness of being alive. And when that's missing, your heart rings like an unanswered phone. But maybe that ring is also proof that you're still trying. That somewhere inside, there's still hope that someone or something might pick up. So, as I lie here, my eyes heavy and my thoughts softening, I think I'm not really afraid of being lonely. I'm afraid of forgetting how to enjoy my own company. Because when I remember that I can make myself laugh, imagine whole worlds. and hold gentle conversations with the universe, then loneliness becomes a friend in disguise. Maybe not a cuddly one, but one that reminds me I'm still alive, still dreaming, still reaching out, even in the quiet.